In 1998, Duane Keffe D. Davis told federal agents he knew nothing about who killed Tupac Shakur. Over the next 25 years, that denial unraveled in a secretly recorded police proffer on BET, in a published memoir, and across dozens of YouTube interviews. He now faces first-degree murder, a gang enhancement, and life in prison. Prosecutors say the strongest witness against Davis is Davis himself. Before a jury decides, this is the full record. On August 10, 2026, Duane Keffe D. Davis is scheduled to stand trial in Clark County District Court. He faces one count of first-degree murder for the September 7, 1996, drive-by shooting of Tupac Shakur. Prosecutors have added deadly weapon and gang enhancement allegations, exposing Davis to a potential sentence of life imprisonment without parole if convicted. Davis has entered a plea of not guilty. With no physical evidence or surviving co-conspirators, the state's case hinges almost entirely on a 25-year trail of admissions made by the defendant himself. In 1998 and 1999, federal agents from the FBI and DEA interviewed Duane Davis regarding West Coast drug trafficking. During these sessions, which lack a publicly confirmed transcript, Davis issued a blanket denial regarding the homicide. He claimed he did not know who shot Tupac Shakur and denied that his nephew, Orlando Anderson, was involved. Instead, Davis advanced an unverified theory, alleging that the Compton Police Department acted under the direction of Suge Knight to carry out the attack. At this stage, Anderson remained only a disputed figure, and Davis maintained absolute ignorance of the shooter's identity. In July 2006, the Los Angeles Police Department formed a multi-agency task force to investigate the unsolved murder of Christopher Wallace, also known as the notorious BIG LAPD detective. Greg Kading was assigned to the unit, which soon focused on Duane Davis. Task force records show that instead of investigating the homicides directly, detectives built a federal narcotics case against Davis involving cocaine and PCP trafficking. The drug charges carried a potential penalty of 25 years to life in prison. Investigators designed this narcotics case to compel Davis to cooperate with the homicide investigations. Facing the prospect of decades in federal prison, Davis signed a written proffer agreement in December 2008. The agreement offered limited protection, stating his admissions could not be used directly against him in a criminal case unless he later contradicted them. On December 18, 2008, Davis sat for an interview with LAPD detectives. Unknown to Davis, detectives secretly recorded the session. During this recorded interview, Davis changed his story. He identified the vehicle as a white Cadillac and the weapon as a .40 caliber Glock. According to the authenticated recording, Davis stated he sat in the front passenger seat. He told detectives that his nephew, Orlando Anderson, leaned over from the back seat and fired the weapon at Tupac Shakur's vehicle. The federal government never filed charges against Davis for the narcotics case. Today, the 2008 recording is a disputed piece of evidence. The defense argues the threat of life imprisonment made the proffer involuntary, while prosecutors maintain the agreement protected his words only inside that room, a limit Davis waived when he began repeating the story in public. In April 2010, the multi-agency task force disbanded, leaving the recorded 2008 interview locked in police archives. Nearly 9 years passed without a murder prosecution against Davis. This long institutional gap did not resolve the open homicide investigation. It merely paused it. During this period of silence, Davis remained free, his admissions shielded from public view. The case file sat dormant in archives until 2018, when new media opportunities and potential financial gains prompted Davis to break his own silence. In February of 2018, Duane Davis appeared on the BET documentary series Death Row Chronicles. On camera, he publicly detailed his presence inside the white Cadillac, stating that the fatal shots came from the back seat. When pressured to identify the gunman, Davis invoked the code of the streets as his reason for keeping the shooter's name confidential, though he remarked, "I got nothing else to lose." While Las Vegas prosecutors would later characterize this television appearance as a public confession, the broadcast segment was edited for television and did not constitute a complete legal record. Nonetheless, the broadcast generated immediate public pressure. That same month, a Change.org petition was launched demanding that the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department resolve the open homicide. Archived records show the petition reached its signature goal within months, reflecting a surge in public interest. However, no official or causal link exists between this public petition and the eventual arrest of Duane Davis. In 2019, Davis co-authored and self-published Compton Street Legend, Notorious Keffe D's street-level accounts of Tupac and Biggie murders, death row origins, Suge Knight, Puffy Combs, and crooked cops. In the text, Davis asserted that he alone knew the real story of the drive-by. Rather than verified proof of a conspiracy, the book's publication established a permanent, unedited public record of his claims. Between 2019 and 2023, Davis expanded this record through dozens of serialized YouTube interviews, with the channel The Art of Dialogue serving as a principal source of these recordings. These videos, authenticated by their original digital upload dates, featured Davis repeatedly detailing his presence in the Cadillac. This sequence included a 2021 exchange addressing boxer Mike Tyson's public statement that he wanted 5 seconds with Tupac's killer. When presented with this premise, Davis answered, "I only needed 1 second." Prosecutors interpret this response as an adoption of the interviewer's premise, demonstrating personal knowledge of the gunman. The prosecution relies on this collective media catalog to argue consistency, presenting the repeated accounts as a self-made case for guilt. The defense counters that these statements were merely promotional performances, driven by the financial demands of book sales, online clickbait, street reputation, or the suggestive premises of his interviewers. While Judge Carly Kearney ruled both the memoir and the recordings admissible in July 2026, the state's reliance on them reveals an important legal distinction. Repetition does not constitute independent physical corroboration, and the media appearances themselves do not legally prove his presence at the scene of the 1996 homicide. Subscribe to follow our complete coverage of the upcoming trial. On July 17, 2023, Las Vegas Metropolitan Police executed search warrant SW 23-03950 at Duane Davis's home in Henderson, Nevada. The nighttime search yielded a specific inventory: a desktop computer, 4 laptops, 3 iPads, an iPhone, a 500 gigabyte external hard drive, and a pokeball USB drive. Investigators also seized several boxes of ammunition, 2 black tubs of photographs, a Vibe magazine issue featuring Shakur, and copies of Davis's memoir. The warrant specifically authorized the seizure of notes, ledgers, and manuscripts detailing television shows, documentaries, or books about Shakur's murder. Prosecutors present these items as evidence of conspiracy and financial monetization of the homicide. Conversely, the defense argues the warrant lacked a sufficient nexus to the 1996 murder and relied on an inflated affidavit. While digital forensics verified the file's timestamps, forensic analysis notes that possessing these media items does not independently identify who fired the weapon. On September 29, 2023, a Clark County grand jury indicted Davis, who has remained in detention since his arrest. This indictment is a procedural step, not a conviction. On February 17, 2026, the court denied a defense motion to suppress the Henderson raid evidence, finding the search warrant was supported by probable cause. In July 2026, the judge ruled the secretly recorded 2008 proffer interview admissible. Prosecutors argued Davis waived his proffer protections by repeating his story publicly, while his defense countered that the recording was obtained under pressure and remained shielded. This admissibility allows the jury to hear the tape, but does not establish its truth or his guilt. In written filings, prosecutors summarized this evidentiary record by writing that Davis confessed in nearly every forum imaginable. The state's central theory relies on the premise that the state's strongest witness against him is himself. The trial splits this case into 4 distinct categories: Davis's shifting accounts, the prosecution's interpretation of those words as proof of a conspiracy, the defense's explanation that the claims were mere commercial puffery, and the baseline facts established in court. The jury now faces the unresolved task of weighing Davis's credibility to determine if his self-incrimination meets the legal standard of proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Subscribe to follow our complete coverage of the trial. 3 decades after the gunfire on the Las Vegas Strip, the state's case rests entirely on the defendant's own voice. When the trial begins, the jury will decide if Davis's words were a genuine confession or merely a deadly ambition bought and sold online.